I mean, the house move went all right, but I kind of wish it didn't. So I didn't have to watch that head loss from Manchester United. What on earth was that? Seriously, you can't do anything when it comes to individual errors on the level that we saw in that game. Martinez just letting the ball drift past him instead of just kicking it out. Onana seemingly sitting down. Onana, who has been one of our most consistent players this season, just completely lost his head. It was a head loss. Individual massive mistakes. We got the equaliser. Never mind. Second half, let's concede after 2 minutes again. Amorim is going to be pissed at what he saw from those players. And this is in a week where Amorim was in the press speaking about how Manchester United have to be mad dogs. They have to run. They have to put the graft in. And United were just chasing the game from the first whistle after 2 minutes. We were chasing the game 2 minutes into the second half. And then they got a third goal. And then we were still chasing. And when we were chasing, we were just, I think did Delot even get a cross to a teammate in that game? I don't really know. But United just in that game, oh man. That's 2 losses in a week, right? And in that first half, I actually thought United responded quite well to going 1-0 down. We were in control of the ball. I think because De Ligt was trying to bait the press from Nottingham Forest and Mainoo and Ugarte were kind of standing statically in a horizontal line, we weren't able to progress the ball centrally. When we did, Ugarte, probably our man of the match, which didn't really say much for that performance today, let's be completely honest. But he made the difference. But I can't for the life of me, look, understand, why Martinez is marking Milinkovic on the corner, first of all, when you got De Ligt and you got Euro there. The zonal marking. Ugh. I mean, look, we conceded 2 against Arsenal, and that's against a team that clearly have sort of figured out corners, and they've got the cheat code. But Nottingham Forest, out a straight, standard, outswinging ball, big centre-back, running 5-10 yards onto it, mark him. You can't mark him because he's already got a run on you. That's what zonal marking did. But to let that ball go across him for the third goal, but sod the third goal. How Onana, as I said, has been one of our most consistent and best performers this season. Don't try and forget that when you're reacting to this. But reacting to this in this particular moment, that was just... Is his body weight really gone that far that way that he couldn't put his knee... It was just... That's what that goal was. Now, Bruno got a goal back with a fantastic finish. But just the sheer amount of head loss I think I saw in that game was ridiculous. Bruno was involved in the second goal. That flick round the corner behind Euro, is like, there's a time and a place when you try passes like that. And it's why attackers are allowed more creative freedom, because you can try stuff like that. Because you're 60 yards away from goal. If you're in what was the right back position and you try that, you miss it, you allow Forest to come straight, attacking your goal, and then that happens. It was just... Amorim is learning stuff about his team every single game. And not all of it is positive. That was a game there where we saw that Forest were sitting in their shape. They weren't really being baited to press. They were sitting there and United were struggling to break through. But when we did, that one time when it got to Ugarte and he found that pass to Garnacho, kind deflection, Højlund's there to sweep up. That's what you want your strikers to be, in the right position at the right time. But to concede 2 goals in the way we did at the start of the first half, the start of the second half, and to concede that second goal like that, and the third goal, just watching Chris Wood loop the headed ball, and Martinez not touching it, it's just, that was a really shocking result. Because United should have won that game. But we didn't. Right? Højlund got the goal, but it doesn't matter. Bruno, as I said... Bruno in that game, we saw the best of Bruno Fernandes and we saw the worst of Bruno Fernandes. And he was taken off. Now, I don't think there's any players in this team that Amorim considers indispensable at this moment in time. And as I said, look, I understand and understood why Mazraoui was rested. That's all it was. It wasn't, let's choose Delot because he's better. It was Mazraoui has played most minutes so far. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the most outfield minutes. He got a rest and Delot played at left wing back. And I'm not sure one of his crosses found a teammate. I think Ugarte was probably the best performance from United in that game. I think he's growing into his United shirt. I think he's growing in at United. But just, if you're Ruben Amorim, what are you taking away from that game? Right, so they conceded another set piece. So I don't know what's going on. We brought in Andreas Georgsson to be our set piece specialist. I'm not even sure if he's on set pieces anymore. But it's just that zonal marking's clearly not working. Teams are going to find out that that is a weakness. And look, Martinez shouldn't be marking him. But Martinez, for that third goal, just to let it go across him, it was just, what are you doing, man? That's what that game was. The mistake from Onana. What are you doing? The mistake from Martinez to let the ball go across him. What are you doing? And United, to lose the game in the way that we lost that game, Ruben Amorim is going to be walking into that dressing room going, what are you doing? It was, I wouldn't say it's confusing because these players are so capable of a head loss. They're so capable of being swept, like sucked into a moment in a game, something goes wrong. And even that, just a lapse in concentration can happen. It's just, in the build-up to the game, Amorim was speaking about how, there's no point talking to me about how difficult it is to bring a formation in, because it's actually quite simple. The difficult job I have is helping these players, helping them evolve, getting over maybe hurdles that exist from the last few years of how United have played. But I wanted United to avoid the roller coaster style of Ten Hag. Now, we are doing that in terms of how we're playing, but from that performance there, just the individual mistakes, it doesn't matter how well you train, it doesn't matter how good your tactics are, it doesn't matter how good your three at the back is, or whoever's there. If you've got your left-sided centre-back, look, I think that was just, in my opinion, that was just, why was Martinez marking him? He was never going to win that battle, right? It should have been De Ligt or Euro. But why is Martinez making that mistake at the back post? A player that you should be able to rely on. Why is your goalkeeper making a mistake like that? A player who you has shown that you can rely on him this season. When you've got individual mistakes like that, it doesn't really matter how good your football is. You're not going to win games of football. In the same way that Ruben Amorim said, look, unless we have a team that just runs relentlessly in and out of possession, then we won't win the Premier League. And you won't win games of football when you are making mistakes like that. Simple as. And quickly, I want to say this to wrap up this match reaction. I thought it was a fitting and poignant tribute for Kath at Old Trafford. From Elanga and Bruno walking out with the wreath, I thought it was a nice touch with Elanga, to the minute's applause. She deserved it. And it was a lovely send-off for her to be sort of recognised by all of Old Trafford. But going into the Victoria Pleasant, and our next Premier League game is City away. Amorim is going to be furious with the individual mistakes from that game. You let me know what you think in the comments below.